this is an interim step. This is Maya with UV mapping. Back in Mudbox here, and we're going to go down to the base mesh, and we're going to export this out as an OBJ. Now, this is a little bit different to what we've done before, but rest assured this is a foolproof method. Now, we've hopefully installed Maya bonus tools. They're available free on the Maya website, which is linked in the description below. And we're just going to save this as an OBJ as a base mesh. Now, with these really cool tools, this is relatively new and it's still in beta form, so but so far I've found it really great and pretty foolproof. But here we go, we've got our low poly base mesh here, and although it's on the wrong axis, that's alright, we'll just make do for now. What we're going to do is, you can kind of see that's the bottom of the mesh, and we're going to go to auto unwrap UVs, and we're going to select a seam, much as if it was a product and you wanted a part line. So that's created two meshes really simply, and we've separated them automatically into shells. Now the trick is to get these to line up so that they're one seamless UV. Now this is really, I guess, advanced UV mapping in a sense, although it's a lot easier thanks to these new tools. This is how they should really be laid out. They should have ideally they should be seamless if possible, or in sections, and also they should have the same pixel density. And what that means is that the checkerboard pattern should be equal, ideally, on all of the mesh, so it projects equidistant pattern. Now this is a little bit more advanced, getting into it, diving in a little bit deeper, and I'll go into later on even more UV mapping techniques. I just found out about this as per request from one of the students, to find a slightly better way of dealing with this. So if I hit move and sew UV edges, it's basically going to combine those edges together. And just to finish off, we're just going to grab that shell and we're going to turn it at right angles so it fits in nicely there. And yeah, that's what we can do now is we can export this back out as an OBJ, and import it back into Mudbox. So if we go File, Import UV, and we just grab that one there, just hit OK. The default settings are perfect for this, and you'll notice our UVs have been updated accordingly. This means that we can export UVs straight from Mudbox, which is great now. The UVs are baked in. So what we'll do now is we'll export medium and high poly mesh, and they'll both have UVs and they'll both line up accordingly and be very usable in Painter, which is exactly what we're chasing. So we'll do that. Yeah, I think a little bit later on, when my computer's working at home, I'll delve a little deeper into UV mapping, and once I've had a bit more of a play with this new tool. it's really great. I've seen some examples online and they look fantastic. And it's a lot better than the manual way that I was doing it. So I should just pause here. Just pausing here. Just notice the way I'm importing this project. So I've got Unreal 4 Engine Algorithmic as the template, and I've got Create Texture Set UDM tile selected, DirectX, and the last checkbox selected as well. And I'm doing this at a 2K map. So just make sure your settings line up to that. You can make it a 1K map if you like. If you've got a very beefy computer, you could try a 4K map if you wish. But right now, that's coming really nicely. And what we're going to do is we're going to bake that high poly mesh, and we're going to uncheck the IDs because I don't really know what that does. And it's just extra work that we don't really need at this point in time. And yeah, so while this is going on, that's a really great workflow to take the base poly mesh from Mudbox, bring it into Maya, and using the new bonus tools, which are really better tools, better tested tools, use the UVs there and split them up into seams where you think appropriate. Just think of part lines is generally the best way. And with that, I would go into the UV editor and try and bring, adjust the seams or adjust the UV maps so they align, and then bring those seams together as you've just seen. And what we're going to do here is just going to inspect. So it looks like it's come in really, really nicely and captured in all that detail, which is great because that's under 10K, but it's really got well over 1 million polygons worth of detail there, which is just a gigantic saving. Especially, just look at that detail. It's just chock full of just fine micro cavities and erosion and all the rest of it. So I'm really happy with that. We'll just go through a couple of different views, trying to match them up from the geometry, which is here, which is very impressive in its own right. I'm just struggling a bit because we didn't import it. The Z-axis is all over the shop, unfortunately, which defaults back to on the RMIT computers, but that's all right. They got various levels of texture detail there, which is exactly what we were chasing all along. You can see there you've got soft sections, you've got very sharp sections, and it's all just come through absolutely brilliantly. So I'm really happy with this. Really happy with this workflow now, and it's really simple to do. And selecting UVs when you're on a base mesh like that's fantastic. Oh, look at all that detail! It's just brilliant, just brilliant. Really happy with that. It's almost like a mountain in itself. All right. Well, we'll get on to now we'll get on to Substance Painter.